Hey everybody, it's Alicia Brown, founder of the Urban Key. Thank you so much for tuning in again on another Wednesday. Hope you all had a good day. I'm excited because today I am talking with the National Museum of African American Music's VP of Brand and Partnerships, Tuwisha Rodgers Simpson. Everyone, please welcome Miss Tuwisha Rodgers Simpson. Let me go ahead and bring her in. Hello.
Hey, hello. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm so good. How are you doing?
I am blessed and highly favored, and I will not complain.
I love that. Amazing. I love your energy. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so happy to have Tuwisha on. She's widely known in the advertising and media industry, so we are super lucky to have her on. Thank you for coming on. Where are you joining us from?
So first of all, before I get into all that, thank you for having me. Thank you for this opportunity. I am humbled to be here and excited to be here for this conversation. So thank you for all that you're doing, the windows, the ceilings that you're shattering, and the opportunities you're making for executives like myself and others. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And to that, I'm currently in Nashville, Tennessee. I had to think about it. Where am I? I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, at the National Museum of African American Music. So yes.
Nice. So for those who are not local to Nashville, I'm from Chicago myself. Can you tell us what visitors can expect from the city? What's the vibe?
Really good question. So just to give you some context so you understand who's answering this question, I am a Jersey girl with an Atlanta phone number and a Nashville address now. And I say that to give you context that for me, I love Nashville. And at one point I was a visitor, if you will. And I was extremely surprised and delighted what the city has to offer. So what can people expect if you're not from the Nasty Nash? What you can expect is a city that people don't know how much culture actually is here. And so if I can unapologetically even talk about Black culture, you think Nashville, you say country music, you think I'm in the South. Right. But here's a couple of fun facts that I learned and how I fell in love with Nashville. Number one, good, bad, or indifferent, Nashville is actually the starting place of the Civil War. Right here in Franklin, Tennessee, which is not too far out of Nashville. So it goes that deep in regards of just kind of talking about that history and just what that looks like, right? Number two, it's home to 4 or 5 HBCUs, top being Fisk and Tennessee State University. And they're not too far from each other. Number three, there are several restaurants and eateries here that were actually in the Green Book. And so for those who know, the Green Book is the book that Black travelers use to figure out where were safe spaces to stop and eat and rest. And so we actually have Sweats is one of those restaurants. They actually have their original entry in that book, right? We're also home to, I was on the road, John Lewis actually attended Fisk here, and the civil rights movement had a very prominent place in coming through Nashville. Some of it was the Woolworths actually was a lunch counter, which is around the corner from the museum, was one of the original lunch counter sit-ins. The name Music City, which is my favorite, which will bring us to the museum, is actually given because of the Fisk Jubilee Singers. And so what a lot of folks don't know is like, why is that a big deal? Because the Fisk Jubilee Singers were the first group, period, to actually do a world tour. And they happened to be Black, and they were happily doing gospel music. And when they performed in front of the Queen of England at the time, the rumor is that she thought they were so angelic that she had made a note to say, you must be from Music City. And so Music City actually got its name, Nashville got its name because of that history. And so what you can expect of Nashville is all of that. Like you can't talk about that. Jefferson Street is something else I left out, which was a street full of different clubs and juke joints. It was really huge on the Chitlin circuit, right? That this here in Nashville. And I think what happens is folks have not talked about it, embraced it. Yeah. And I can go on forever, but it's like a secret cultural spot that's just waiting to be found. So
I'm all ears. I'm just like listening to you because Nashville isn't a place that I've visited myself. So I'm just curious. I'm excited to get into the museum, but I definitely wanted to know, as well, other people who've never been before, what can I expect in the save, things of that nature. So I definitely see myself visiting and just really immersing myself in the culture of the city as well.
Right,
So,
which is why I brought up that I'm a Jersey girl with an Atlanta phone number, because I too come from, like yourself, Chicago. You're in a cultural mecca that no one asks this question.
yep.
We know that we can see ourselves. We know that Chicago's part of the Great Migration. We know Atlanta is a hot spot for Black businesses and civil rights.
Absolutely.
Nashville is an intersection of that, right? It's an intersection because it's part of it's 3 hours away from St. Louis, from Atlanta, from Cincinnati, right? It's only 8 hours actually from Chicago. So when you think about the intersection and what that means, it was part of the Great Migration, right? It was part of the Underground Railroad, which you can find the museum in Cincinnati, again, 3 hours away. It's an hour and a half from New York and Jersey, 3 hours from LA. Like, it's so centralized, and it played an important part. We tend to kind of skip over it, but it's a bomb place. And part of what we want to do at the museum is create a culture where you can see yourself here and visit unapologetically and enjoy all the things that I'm talking about.
So let's just jump into it. Back in January, the National Museum of African American Music made its debut. Can I say, what an extraordinary tribute to our culture. And with music being one of the motivating drivers in so many people's lives, I'm just really excited to hear more about the museum. So,
go ahead, but I love talking about the museum. Go for it.
Yeah, tell us about the museum and its significance.
So first and foremost, this has been a 20-year project in the making. And most people are like, why does it take so long? Or what happened? What's funny with the money? And none of those things happened at all. The reality is, to create a museum, it actually takes that long, right? It takes that long because you have a storyline that has to be created, as well as collecting artifacts and then bringing all that to life. So let me tell you a little bit. So what does that mean? So Name Ma'am is a museum dedicated to the storytelling of African American music and the impact it had in the American story. What you can anticipate to see here is going to be a little different. We tell a very unique perspective. Yes, we have artifacts. Yes, there are artists. But what I really like to tell folks is that the way the museum is set up, it's set up using the historical timeline of once Africans entered America. So you're talking about 1619. Okay. And when you use that cultural timeline to point out the intersections of what happened in those eras where Black music either exploded, came to life, or why it came to life. So if you think about it from that perspective, we have 7 galleries. And our first gallery is Wade in the Water. And yes, that's named after her song, and all galleries are. And that tells you the historical perspective of the 17th century and how that birthed the movement of spirituals and gospels. And so if you're familiar with the African slave trade, you know that and right now PBS is even showing a special on Black churches. That's a significant part of the communication, also a significant part of the movement of freedom for slaves. And so when you're learning about that, you're also learning about why gospel and spirituals are so important, and how that gave us the Kurt Franklins and the Mary Marys we have today, right? So we start there, and then we continue into our next gallery, which is Crossroads Gallery, that picks up around the time of Reconstruction. And it talks about the immersion of blues, rock and roll, country, folk, even rhythm and blues and hip hop. Because remember, after slavery, you had a surge in blues music and that expression of storytelling, which is always going back to Africa, right? But the storytelling was very prominent. And then you also had the Great Migration that happened around that time frame, which took what happened in the South and brought it up into the North. So then you have a growing of sounds and influences. And that's how we have country music. That's how we have folk music, right? Even how we have rock and roll. Rock and roll is a genre that's birthed from blues when they didn't want to call it the Negro music, right? The colored music. And so you learn about that. And then we also touch on B.B. King. We talk about Jimi Hendrix. We talk about even Kendrick Lamar in that gallery, because his type of delivery is a blues-like delivery. It's a storytelling delivery. Yeah. So the next gallery after that is A Love Supreme. And A Love Supreme is dedicated to the Harlem Renaissance, Chicago Renaissance era. We see the immersion of jazz, the importance of venues like Minton's, Cotton Club, the Savoy, and why that plays such a part. And that's one of my favorite galleries because it's just it puts you in a time where artists were being asked to go through back doors of hotels.
Wow.
But at the same time, the Harlem Renaissance and the movement of owning our art and owning that conversation and owning social justice is very prominent in this particular gallery. And then we also have artifacts like from Ella Fitzgerald. We have an actual Grammy of Ella Fitzgerald. We have sheet music written for her by Count Basie. We have her actual coat and her brooch. So when you look about the tension of that particular era, but then you look at these artifacts, come on, put it into context, just the royalty of it all. So that's Love Supreme. And then our next gallery is One Nation Under a Groove, which is just getting down just for the funk of it. And so that particular gallery is dedicated to the immersion of R&B. And again, you have to keep in mind in context that this is all music that we own, but they started calling it pop. They started calling it, again, rock, right? But that's the era. It picks up after World War II. And you start to see record labels come to life like Motown and Stax. We talk about that. We talk about the immersion of Black radio and the importance of that. We talk about the importance of Black people being in the music business, right? We start to see the immersion of those things. We even talk about unapologetically how at one point you had African Americans who created songs, but it was sold to white American artists, and that's what you knew went out into the space and didn't even know that Fat Dominoes wrote that song. Or Laverne Baker, one of my favorite songs, Tweely Tweely D. She wasn't given credit. She's also from Chicago. She wasn't given credit for that particular song. So we go there, like we go into that, and we don't do it to shame America, but again, to talk about the untold story. These are things that people never knew, to give proper credit or give context. And so through that gallery, since our largest, we start there and then we go into artifacts from Ray Charles. We have a playlist from the Temptations. We have magazine covers with Aretha Franklin when she was very political in movement. We actually have colored and white signs, only signs, again, to show the tension of the movement and the importance of music. And then we get into some really cool, fun stuff. Funkadelic costumes, the immersion of funk and disco. We talk a little bit about MTV and how Michael Jackson was the first video, what that whole thing was. And then again, fun, Whitney Houston, Usher, Jill Scott. Like we start to get into how R&B is now the thing, right? It's the number one. It has its footing. And last but not least, there's actually two more galleries real quickly. The Message Gallery, which covers the immersion of hip hop. It's also one of my favorite galleries because it's my era. And I love that gallery because we start to talk about how storytelling, as I said in the beginning, is now super prominent. Hip hop is about 47 years old, but yet it's the number one genre now in the world. So we kind of cover that. And then you come back out to what we call our Roots and Stream, which is our main gallery. It's the heart of the museum. It connects all the other galleries. And what that's dedicated to is where you learn about music in the galleries. We go back to the eras. And we have several interactives that you can explore different eras in time, a significant points of time for African Americans in their journey here in America. And you can get a playlist that also give you a sense of tone of what happened in that time frame. And last but not least, we have this really cool takeover moment where in the Roots of Rhythm, the screens go dark and you will be immersed into a major performance like Prince singing Purple Rain at the Super Bowl.
My God.
It's like a 3D situation. Like one screen is his head, the other one is the Florida A&M band playing. You can see the rain coming down. And I tell people it's a very spiritual moment because you can actually see Prince saying, "Thank you, God," because the rain came while he was singing Purple Rain. It's just intense. Even you've seen it, but not from this view. It's like having a front seat into his face. It's just amazing. So I'm gonna pause there because there's another part of the museum I didn't talk about, but I want to make sure you get some of your questions out.
No. We love hearing, straight from you. You have all the information. So I love everything. And I'm excited. I especially love an opportunity to be completely immersed in the music. So I love, that the gallery that's going to show me Prince, and I'm sure you guys will change it, over time.
Right.
I think that is absolutely that would be the thing for me that I would
Oh,
probably be wanting to see as soon as I got there. So
I'm gonna tell you the cherry on top of your visit. The cherry on top of everyone's visit is um, this is an institution. It's not just a museum. And why I say that is because we really want people to understand the innovation, the creativity, the passion behind Black musicians in the industry. So when you walk in, you receive something called an RFID bracelet. This is not it, but for example, and on it has a chip. And we ask you for your email address for this reason. When you pay for your ticket, you get it free. Throughout the whole entire museum, we actually have interactives, and they're not your regular interactives. So, for example, going back to Wade in the Water, we have an interactive where you can sing with the choir with Dr. Bobby Jones. There's an actual green screen. You're learning about the importance of gospel music and why it was made to lift and uplift and to share testimony. And he teaches you, "Oh, happy day." So you go through the whole thing. You clap, you dance, you sing. At the end of it, it actually shows you in the choir. And you get to actually take your bracelet and download that experience and take it home with you. In the Crossroads, we have Write Your Own Blues Song, and it's all about storytelling. And you get to pick your choices, and you download that song. In all of our galleries, we have something called Roots and Streams, where you can learn about the artists in that gallery and how they are interconnected with one another. It shows you who the influencers are, who they influence, and who their peers are. So not only do you get a bio of that, so for example, you say you look up Yolanda Adams in Wade in the Water, it'll show you that Yolanda Adams was influenced by Stevie Wonder. So you get to read that bio about her, click Stevie Wonder, get his bio, and then get his sphere of influence, peers, and influencers. And we have playlists for each artist that you explore that you can download onto your bracelet. And what we love about that is that it tells the story of how all the music is interconnected, right? No matter what gallery you're in. Another favorite, I'm not gonna give you all of them because I'm gonna leave a couple of surprises.
No, tell us.
No. You have to visit. But one of the other ones that's my favorite is we have a dance interactive where we take you through the decades of the 50s coming up to the 2000s of different dances that were really popular. The twist, the mashed potato, the wop, all of that. Like you do that, but you're dancing alone on a screen. You can take that home with you. And my last favorite one, my most favorite one is in the Message. We actually have a rap booth, a booth with microphones that come down, and you can either rap along with the song, kind of karaoke style. You can battle someone. So you go through it and it actually tells you what your style is. You're either West Coast, East Coast, or South. Or you can freestyle. And it's my favorite because people sometimes want to real confident. And then there's also surprise and delights. So I gave a tour today, and it was a young lady who went in the booth. And I was telling her I would never do the Nicki Minaj song, which is one of the covers, right? Okay. I was like, she raps too hard, that's too fast, don't do it. Can I tell you, she went in there and was like, I was like, oh my God. The whole thing, the bridge, and she was, I was like, oh my gosh. Totally surprised me because she killed it, right? And so you have that, you have people walk in who are not confident, who like, I thought I knew the words, but I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of breathing, right? It's so, because people don't know you have to breathe when you perform. Right? Yeah. And so I'm hoping I'm able to paint a picture that the museum is not only photos and pictures and artifacts, and nor is it just about that, but it really is about giving you the experience of really what it means to create the music, be part of the music, to understand why hip hop, whether you like it or not, why it's such a great artistic art form, because you learn that, right? You learn there is a difference between Snoop Dogg and Nas, because the battles tell you the difference of why New York beats, style, flow is different from somewhere else. And I like sharing that because I want to be excited about the picture we have of Beyonce, the outfit we have from Whitney Houston, the guitar we have from BB King. Yes, get excited about those things, but also get excited that you're going to walk out with a new and a greater appreciation for Black culture and the intersectionality that music plays across that culture that's impacted everyone globally. It's just that dope. You have to come and visit.
I'm excited, you guys. Oh, okay. Tell us what upcoming events or programs that you all have that we should be on the lookout for, in addition to all of the amazing things?
Yeah, I stay a busy lady, right? So in addition to just come join membership, the museum itself is the thing. We also have some great things to look forward to. So not to go too far back, but right before our interview, we have these great panels and virtual events that you can join. One that just happened was us promoting the U.S. against Billie Holiday, and we were able to have a Music Matters conversation, which is a program that we do often, at least 2 or 3 times a month, with Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, with Andrea Day, and with the producers and director. And so we talk about just, the movie. Of course, we watched a preview of it, if you will, but that's a powerhouse panel, and we are very blessed to do things like that. And so there's more of those to come. We're also planning a lot of virtual events in March, April, and May. I don't want to give it away because we're going to finalize them, but I highly suggest that you follow us on social media and sign up for the newsletter. And the biggest piece that I really would love everyone to keep their eye out for is June. June is Black Music Month, and for us, that's our Super Bowl month. That's the month where, with or without COVID, we're going to show off and show out, because that's the month where we celebrate exactly what this institution's about. And so we're planning a couple of activities. Some more to come, but for instance, like a Black Music Matters Summit. So again, conversation and a summit around the importance of Black music and culture. We have an annual Legends Gala where we recognize greats in the industry, such as your Gladys Knights and your Patti LaBelles, et cetera. So it's almost like an award show, but a little different. And then we're also looking to just do a great dedication to the museum. The museum is just now opening, and we want to shout it from the rooftops that we're open. So we're planning to do that as well. So if you are going to plan a visit and you feel so brave to come outside, which we hope you do, but safety first. June is a good time to come. It really will be a great time to come see the museum. We have a lot of things percolating for that. And speaking of COVID, yes, we are very, very aware of COVID. We're aware of our community in COVID. So we are only operating at what we're allowed to, given by the city. So we're not fully open. We have safety things in place, such as covers for the earphones, stylists for the interactives. We're practicing 6 feet distance, and we also have tripled our cleaning crew, if you will, to come through and clean constantly to keep everyone safe. So all those are put in place, and we're also open on limited hours to keep those levels of safety as well. So know that we are definitely keeping people safe. We're taking temperatures, all that good stuff. And so hopefully with vaccinations in the summer, as things start to let up, of course you have to wear a mask, all those things. We hope to be able to host more folks, but virtually we're doing things. That's part of my marketing plan, in person and virtual at the same time, so that we're able to really celebrate and invite people into the museum one way or another. That's a lot.
You've given them no, it is, but it's all great information that I know that people cannot wait to get outside and to be a part of something like this, historical, especially with everything that's going on. This really gives us a moment to not a moment, it gives us a lifetime. It gives us, many visits to come and just like be proud of what's the word I want to use? The contribution that African Americans have made to American music. We were really, it's from what you're saying, we were really I won't say forefounders, that might take it too far, but we are, we were in there.
Yeah. We're definitely one of the forefounders. And now we improved on some things. How about
that? Okay. I'll take it, but I want to definitely thank you so much for being a guest. I can't wait to visit. I'm going to sign off, but hang on. I don't want you to click off. I definitely want you to stay tuned. But thank you, and it was so nice to meet you. Give me just a second. All right. Hey guys, you're still there. So I want to thank Tuwisha for being on and being a guest for us. We learned so much from her. I definitely want to thank each and every one of you with the Urban Key community for watching the interviews, continuing to support us. I just wanted to say a couple of things. Be sure to catch the happy hour that's sponsored by Remy Control on the Urban Keys Instagram page. That's taking place tomorrow, so definitely you don't want to miss that. Also, be sure to join me for another virtual game night. The game night's taking place this Saturday. I've partnered with Fanfoolery, the creator of Trap Wars. So tune in on our Facebook page or the group. We've got grand prizes. The sponsor is John Basile, Black-owned tequila company. So stay tuned for that. That's taking place at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Hope to see you all then. Have a good evening.